Hello everyone and welcome back to TicketsBasket. In the previous session we have uploaded or let's say deployed our Azure function to create the thumbnails, and we are done from that part. Right now we should go ahead and continue with the other stuff that we have to do. Basically, one of the most important things that we should have in the system is basically the authorizations. We have two roles, organizer or normal user, and we are using Azure Active Directory B2C, so we need a set of role-based authorization in the system to be able to secure the client side and server side, show some stuff for the other and for one role, and hide some stuff for the other, and so on. And even from the server side as well, allows the organizer to call some function that the user cannot do, and maybe vice versa. So to do this, there is some cool information that we have to do is or to know about that. Because we are using Azure Active Directory B2C, we don't have the capability of groups and roles straightforward, just like what we have in the Azure Active Directory for business, for example. So in this case, we have to go ahead and create some custom authorization malware, let's say, to be able to implement our own. So let me explain the process a little bit and why we do this. So in our project, here we have the client project, the Blazor, and on the other side, here we have our API, and in the middle, here, we have the Azure Active Directory B2C. So what happens basically, the flow with the Blazor app is requesting a token or requesting a login, let's say his login, and then return the token in case that's valid, and then the Blazor can tries to access resources in the API and with the token, and the API basically goes to the Active Directory B2C through another application, through the API application, and validate that token to make sure that, okay, this token is valid and it's issued by us and this stuff. So basically this is the flow of authentication, which is basically the authentication is the process of to determine are you allowed to enter the system or no. This is the general idea of authentication. But what about authorization? Authorization is authentication and authorizations are terms they are working together. So basically, authentications allows you or determine if you should be in the system or no, or are you allowed to get into the system or no. Authorization determines okay, you got into the system, but are you allowed to access some stuff? So let's say you are an employee and you are getting into your own company, so basically when the security guard at the front door of the company validates your card whether you are an employee or no. So if you are an employee, then he says okay, you can get in. So this is the authentication process. But when you are within the company building, for example, you are not allowed, for example, to access the storage or the stock, or I don't know. So this calls authorization. So you are allowed to get in, but you are not allowed to do all the stuff. So we have to implement this. So basically, if we go to our database, you can see here that we're having a set of hybrid solution a little bit. So we manage the authentication through the Azure Active Directory B2C, but not all the stuff is 100% on Active Directory B2C, because we're having the user profiles here, and we choose to do so for managing the authorization. Basically, this is the main point of what we are doing this, and in addition to the profile picture, because doing this on the level of B2C is not straightforward. It's a little bit hard. We can do this using custom attributes and this stuff, but I think doing it on our own is much better. So we are going to see how to leverage this property as organizer to implement roles-based authorization system, and this is what we are going to do right now. So here, if we go back to the whiteboard, after the user logs in, we have we have server side and client side. This is the client and this is the server. So on the client, when the user gets the token, this token doesn't have a role. What's going to happen is we are going to go to the API and return back the role, and then we will use some advanced stuff on the client side to set the role claim to the user, and on the server side, the same will happen. Whenever we receive any request, and after the token is validated and the user is logged in, we are going to go to the user profiles table and check the is organizer property. So based on this one, we are going to set if this is an organizer role or a normal user role. So yeah, this is the flow in general. Right now in the next video, we are going ahead and start the coding part, let's say, of the server side. Once we are done from the server side, we are going to move on to the client side. So it's going to be like a little bit advanced cool stuff, but they are going to be very interesting, and this will give you the ability to leverage the power of Active Directory B2C without the headache of this authorization stuff, and you can do it on your own. Even if you have like multiple roles for the same user or whatever, you can do all of this stuff like throughout your own database. Maybe it's SQL Server, whatever, any data source you have. So this hybrid solution just working perfectly. I'm using it even in real like project that works in production. So yeah, let's see you in the next video and to see how we are going to proceed with it.